So with that decision then, in indicating that you don't want CPR, if your heart or breathing were to suddenly stop, there are other complications, Ron, that can occur from your COPD. We've talked about those a little bit. Your breathing difficulties are the primary complication. The decreased nutrition, the decrease in activity level, and the pneumonias that occur suddenly that you're not expecting. So when these complications occur and you come into Gundersen Health System, the staff taking care of you need to know what your goals are and what treatment you would find acceptable, so we can honor your wishes, as we talked about earlier. So there are different options of treatment choices available to you. We have them in 3 general categories. So what I'd like to do next is spend a little bit of time reviewing those categories. And what I'll do is start with the one based on what I've heard you say today that seems to fit your goals. We'll start there. We'll talk through some of the breathing, and then we'll move into the other treatment options, okay?
Sure.
Okay. So in talking about you wanting to fight your COPD, and your last experience being on the breathing machine in the intensive care unit, you've mentioned that that breathing tube really helped you to get better, and you saw that as one of the treatments that are available to help your breathing. So the option that I'd like to talk about is full treatment. And what full treatment means is that you would come back to the hospital if you had a complication from your COPD, and you would want to be intubated again or have that breathing tube again and be placed on the respirator or the ventilator in the intensive care unit in an attempt to get better. So it's really what it says it is. Full treatment, we do everything possible, the medications, oxygen, the breathing tube, that type of thing.
You said medications. What do you do?
That's a great question. We talked about medications earlier in the conversation. We talked about the help with breathing. So what is your understanding about the different choices, Ron, that you have to help you with your breathing problems?
Well, there's something for anxiety, right?
Medications can help. Helping to control that anxiety with medications often will help with you with your breathing, because once that anxiety gets worse, then the breathing tends to get worse. So.
Yeah.
There are other medications that can be used to help. So that is one of the choices that you could choose to help with your breathing problems. The breathing tube isn't the only choice. Medications can be used, and I've got the information in here on that. I briefly referred to BiPAP, which is the positive pressure, and it's a mask. Often institutions do require you to be in the intensive care unit, but it's not invasive. So it's not the breathing tube that gets put into your airway. It just sits on the outside of your face.
So with the vent, I couldn't possibly be home with a vent or anything like that, right?
Correct. If your COPD is bad enough, or you have a complication from the COPD that's caused your breathing to be that bad, you'd be in the intensive care unit on the breathing tube. And that's what the full treatment option is saying, do everything for me that's possibly out there, even if it's invasive, like the breathing tube, and be in the ICU. Now you can put limits on that. So if you want to try to fight the next complication that you have and give that breathing tube a try, you can do that. But I've heard you tell Mary that, if you aren't going to be able to get home and you're not going to be able to do some of the things that you love to do and spend time with your grandchildren, those are your goals and values that you've brought forward today.
Right.
And so what you have the option of doing is called a time-limited trial. So if you're on the breathing machine in the intensive care unit and a few weeks go by and it doesn't look like you're going to get better or get better to a point that meets your goals and values, then you have the ability to say, you wouldn't want to continue.
How long was I on the
The last time you were
The
in the
last time,
hospital?
how long was I on the breathing tubes?
It was about a week and a half, I think.
Week and a half. That was a long time.
It was a long time.
I wouldn't say anything longer than that.
Okay. So that's something that is meaningful to you, the ability to say, let's try it again.
Yeah.
But talking
after
about what
10
that
days
means.
or something like that, it's just too hard being there.
Okay. So let's explore that just a little bit further then, Ron. Tell me about too hard being there. What does that mean to you?
Well, you're in the hospital, you don't have any control of what's going on around you.
Mm-hmm.
You got people poking you and being around at all hours. You hear other people suffering. There's machines going beep and vent, and it's not a good place to be.
Okay. And what outcome would you hope for at that point?
Get better and leave.
Okay. So your goal would be, if I can get better, and I'm
Right.
headed on that path, give me a week and a half to see if that's going in that direction.
Yeah,
That's your goal.
that would be my goal.
Okay. And see, that's really important for Mary to hear, because in that situation, you're not able to make decisions for yourself,
Yeah.
most
Can't
likely,
talk.
or you
Yeah.
can't talk. Now, occasionally, if people are getting better, like this last time, you started getting better, then at some point you will be making decisions for yourself again, hopefully. But in the end, just like you did this last time, but in the interim, then Mary would be making the decisions, and as we talked about earlier, she's going to make the decisions you want for yourself. And so it's really a beautiful thing for her to be able to hear what your goals for the outcome of intubation are.
Okay. You got that?
I do. I think she'll give me a list of things too, so I'll have it
All
written
right.
down.
I am. We're making a list, and we're
Good.
going to document that on this post form here today. I just want to make sure you have clear understanding then, if things are not getting better, you're trying this for a week and a half, the physicians are, Mary's talking to the physicians and talking about what your goals are, and they're saying the goal of you reaching those is very unlikely. Then the other option then is moving to what we call comfort care. And comfort care is where we don't do any of those aggressive interventions. Your goal is to be at home at the end of your life.
Right.
And so I just want to review that is what I heard you say earlier. So moving to that treatment option, comfort care as a treatment option, could then be a change then that Mary would say, we're no longer wanting to pursue full treatment and move to comfort care. And we provide comfort to you in all situations, no matter what we're doing. But it becomes the focus of care where we're not doing the interventions that we've talked about in the hospital. And we focus on giving you the medications and ensuring your comfort in other ways. There is one other treatment option category that is available, and I do want to review it, Ron, because I've heard you say a couple things today that you may not want to elect that treatment choice today, but I'd like for you to be aware of it, because as we talked about earlier, one of the beautiful things about this system is that as your goals change, your decisions may change, and you can easily change this form. So right now you want to fight your COPD. You've experienced the longer recovery this time coming out of the hospital. So the other treatment choice is called limited interventions. Limited interventions, you may get to a point where you say, I do want to come back to the hospital if I get a pneumonia, give me antibiotics, give me the medications to help my breathing, but I'm not interested in having the breathing tube again or going to the intensive care unit. So that is an option that's available to you as well.
Do I have to make a decision on that one today or not?
No.
Okay.
What we want to do today is give you the information, answer your questions, discover what other questions that you have to talk to your physician about, and so you can make a fully informed decision that's right for you. In fact, the most important thing about today is just the conversation that we're having. even if you're not comfortable ever making a decision, the gift that you've given today to Mary to hear your goals and values and what decisions you're thinking about will help her in these times of stress and crisis that may come with the complications. So
Yeah, the one thing about the vent, though, it did help.
it did help.
Yeah,
It's very understandable to want to give it a try again.
yeah, and that seems like a good route to follow.
Hmm. And then putting the limit on it with your
Right.
your outcome. If you're not achieving the outcome within the time frame that you feel is acceptable, then to say, okay, that's as far as I want to go with it.
Yeah.
Okay. And that would be a great conversation to have with your physician as well. So what we can do is we can document the decisions that you're thinking about today, and I can give you this form, we'll have you sign it, but it doesn't become a medical order until your physician signs it. So what we can do is we can go ahead and make an appointment with your physician today, and then I can send the form with you, and you can review what you've been thinking, what we've been talking about today with your physician, and have this conversation. Any questions about that?
No.
No.
Okay.
And he can change his mind at any time.
Can change his mind at any time.